Alright, hey guys, welcome to another video. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about, um, well, the markets are up. So Bitcoin is up. It's around the 4,000 area. Things have kind of gone green for a lot of the altcoins out there. And the last couple of days actually have been more about, uh, people talking about, you know, is Bitcoin a fraud? That whole Jamie Dimon thing, or is it actually legitimate? And then his firm was, I guess, buying Bitcoin while he was calling it a fraud, and you know, uh, all this kind of stuff. And I've been watching a lot of videos about, different people saying that the U.S. is going to collapse, and is the currency going to collapse, and that Bitcoin or these altcoins or cryptocurrencies in general are going to take over the fiat currencies and um, overthrow the governments. And there's some anarchy people that I like to watch that have some good ideas on some things. But so some of that's more entertainment value than reality, I think. um, I do think that Bitcoin is acting as today's gold. um, and here's the thing. I'll just run this by you guys. I don't know, what actually is going to happen. I'm not going to tell you that this is going to happen or that's going to happen. I mean, that's all BS. Nobody knows what's going to happen with that stuff. But you have all of these financial people, and what are they all doing? They're all talking about the crash, the coming crash. You have to be prepared, and they're all saying buy gold, right? Why? Why is it that all of them are talking about buying gold and that there's going to be a crash? You know, um, it's been well documented. If you've ever seen that movie, The Wolf of Wall Street, I recommend you watch that. That's a good one. It's a long movie, but it's good. It's that whole financial services industry is a game of taking money out of the client's pocket and putting it in your pocket, right? That's kind of what they say, and that's the way it was. And you can find videos of the guys that were in the industry, and they talk about it, and they say it's exactly what it was. They don't care. They don't know what stock's going to go up or down or whatever, but they're calling you so to get you to invest so they can get transaction fees, and it's happening, on and on. Well, that whole thing kind of fell apart after the creation of index funds, and people started reporting that if you just invest in an index fund, you'll do better than most of these, uh, you know, brokerage houses anyway. So, but to go back to kind of my point here is that you have all of these guys are trying to sell gold. Peter Schiff's trying to sell gold, and he's in this company called Gold Money that will supposedly store your gold for you, and you can buy things off the internet with your gold, right? I don't know if they issue a debit card or something, and they, shave off. I don't know if they actually pull a piece of it off, or they just, throw it in, or what they do exactly. Maybe they divide it up into small amounts and then are able to pull money off. It's just a ledger. It's got to be just a ledger. So when you spend something, they just say, well, this is now how much gold you have left. They don't actually keep it. Supposedly it's kept in a safe environment and all this jazz. And I'm sure you're paying exorbitant fees for them to hold and store your gold. But every one of these sites does this. They all talk about the same thing. You buy gold to come in collapse. You look at people like Annette Zhang, or Lynette Zhang, I should say. I think her name is. Same thing as buy gold, buy gold. Even now, Tony Robbins is in on this whole thing. Buy gold, and the collapse is coming, he says. And it's just like, man, this is what everybody's repeating. It's just, and to me, it's kind of hits the BS meter. You ever have that BS meter go off, and you're kind of like, you know what? This is all sound like BS to me, because it just keeps going around and around and around. Now, some people buy it and they believe in the BS, and that's fine. You can drive yourself crazy with all the bad news. Um, but to me, I think I'm starting to look at things like a contrarian. If everybody's saying one thing, I'm like, man, they're just leading the sheeple. They're leading the sheep. It's that's got to be the false thing. It's got to be the other way. And so I'm thinking to myself, maybe the reality is gold is worthless unless you have some nice jewelry. It's a worthless metal. They don't use it that much in electronics anymore because uh, it's too expensive. And the price supposedly is manipulated. I mean, I don't know. It's $1,300. It's been $1,300. It just kind of goes up and down, a little bit up and down, and I don't know. They keep saying it's going to go to $10,000. You can't eat gold. It has no real intrinsic value. They say it does, but it doesn't. But what intrinsic value does gold really have? It's a lump of metal. You're going to tie it onto I guess you could tie it onto a fishing line and use it as a weight, right? It has some intrinsic value as that. Other than jewelry, it doesn't really. It's not like a chicken that has intrinsic value. It can make eggs for you, and you can have chicken for a night. The gold, I'm not sure it has that much intrinsic value. So I'm sitting here thinking, and I'm like, these guys are all trying to, solicit this gold. And so why is it everybody's trying to sell gold? Is like gold the bad thing to hold now? Nobody wants gold. All the big shots and the elites, they don't want gold. They're like, this is a worthless metal. We've got cryptocurrencies now that do the same thing. They're better. Why would I want to hold gold? You know what? Let's get together and we'll sell this all to all the freaking, all the retail investors. Let them buy all this worthless crap. And while we're at it, China's buying it and India's buying it and all these other countries are buying this gold. And I think some of the Western countries are quietly sitting back going, yeah, buy gold. you know, and why? People think that the currencies need to be based on gold again. Well, that's not going to happen because they'd all go bankrupt. They're already bankrupt. But I mean, no one's going to put currencies back on a gold standard. That's just not going to happen. Everybody's on a fiat standard now, and everybody's printing. And so what happens is it's currency wars. You've got China deleveraging their currency, which all of a sudden makes the dollar worth more, and everybody else's currency worth less. And then what's the U.S. do? Well, we'll print some more. We'll devalue our currency. That makes the Chinese one more. So it's a race to the bottom. Every country is trying to devalue their currency, to spite the other guy. And the people, they're like, why do prices keep skyrocketing and going up? It's like what I was talking about before where, they want the economic environment set in such a way that the best time to buy is always right now because it'll be more expensive in a month. It'll be more expensive in 6 months. A year, it'll be even more expensive. So they want to create that environment where the best time to buy is always right now. They don't want it deflationary because everybody will stop buying. Everything will grind to a halt. So that's kind of what my thought has been the last couple of days. I'm wondering if gold is for the suckers, right? That's the sucker bet. Buy this freaking metal. Buy this gold from all these people. They're trying to sell you gold. I wouldn't buy any gold. What are you going to do with gold? I did watch a video of some people that were talking about prepping, right? Now this could happen. You could have a revolution. The U.S. has big problems. I won't get into it in this video, but you could have a revolution, or there could be a time where a hurricane could come, and you might need some of those prepper things that you've done for a while until they get electricity going and stuff. But they were talking about things that could be like an alternate currency in that environment. And some of the things that were brought up were interesting. Spices was brought up. And I thought, that's kind of weird. And I hadn't really thought about spices. But many years ago, spices were like a way to trade. You would trade in spices and sugar and other spices. Your salt, pepper, other kind of spices. I don't know what other spices. I'm not a spice person. But spices was one of them. Another one was, of course, like cigarettes. If if you smoke cigarettes, if you're still addicted to that stuff, get off that. Use the e-cig and get off of it. Um, but cigarettes would go up in value. Um, Pills, medications, that was like another currency. So people, you have all these old medications that you didn't finish. That's like a currency there that people could trade in. There were a lot of little different things that I thought were interesting. But gold, I don't know. I think that's the sucker's bet now because that's what everybody's trying to do is push gold. It doesn't make any sense to me. Um, I think that's the old century way of looking at it, and I think it's like everybody's buying this stuff, or at least that's what you hear, and some of these other countries are buying it, and I think some smart bankers are sitting back just laughing, raking in the money, like buy that foolish garbage. I mean, what, I could be wrong, but it's just something that's crossed my mind. So you can comment what you think is going on there. But some of the other things that are happening is I do think cryptocurrency is going to continue to rise in value, and I don't think people are going to be spending crypto. They don't want to spend it. They want to hodl it or hold it, the cryptocurrency. So I think you'll still see cash, and they may eventually move the dollar to a digital currency, but it'll be a fiat-based currency that's inflated ad infinitum like everybody else. But you might just keep Bitcoin as a store of value, and other cryptocurrencies as a store of value. I can see plenty of companies that create. Well, it's already happening. You've got the Whopper coin. You're going to have the J.C. Penney coin. You're going to have this coin, that coin, the Apple token, the Google coin. I mean, it's going to be anybody who wants to give a rebate, is going to create a coin. But your store of value, your main coins today, now Bitcoin may change. We've kind of talked about that. But to get into this idea of, buying gold and putting all your money into that, I'm not sure that's a good bet. Most of mine is in crypto. Maybe I'll do a video and tell my story a little bit. I'm not sure I want to go into all that yet. We'll see. I might do one, but because it might be an interesting story to tell you where I came from. But so yeah, crypto. I would put your cash in crypto, not gold. I don't know. I don't see that. And then to take this another step further, do I think cryptocurrency is going to wipe out central banks? No, I don't think so. I think this whole idea of the collapse, if it happens, and it could happen, it'll be a global collapse. It won't be any one particular country because everybody's broke. I watched some video. You hear about the U.S. being broke. Well, China's broke too. They borrowed all this money to build out all those empty cities, and now they're broke. So everybody's broke. It's like the whole world is printing money, and the taxpayer is the one getting it in the rear end, right? Because that's who ends up paying for it. The next generation, unfortunately. It's a nice thing to do to your kids. But to see a cryptocurrency take out an entire government, like the anarchists think, I like some of the ways that they think, but it's a little fantasy to me. I don't, they own the military. They have all the guns. They have the troops. They have, if they're not getting their revenue from one mechanism, they'll find a way to get it in another mechanism. And you're starting to see that, like it's reading up on the news back home is a little harder to come by overseas. I've been overseas now for 3 months, about. But I heard Illinois, they've had huge budget problems, and mainly the whole Chicago area. But I heard people are fleeing Chicago because they're, well, not only, imagine you're the government there and you have all these bills and all these pension obligations, and now there's no revenue base, or a declining revenue base to actually to get money to pay these things. You know, you're gonna, the municipalities are gonna have to go to the federal government and say, print some stuff for us, because there's no way they can pay these obligations. And people are like, well, you're not taxing me, I'm getting the hell out. They're getting out of Illinois. They're going to Tennessee and Kentucky and, you know, other areas even further down south, Texas, states that have a low income or no income tax. People don't want to be taxed, so they're leaving. And you have these, you know, state governors that are going, well, how am I going to pay for this? They'll just print more money. They'll have to. That's exactly what will happen. Um, how do they get more tax? How they'll have to figure out a way to tax some of these things. They'll start reporting. You'll have to report your Bitcoin, and then when you turn it into cash, you'll pay capital gains, and they'll tax you there, and that's kind of what I think will happen. But you know, it's just interesting. You know, everybody's got kind of a different take on where things are going to go, and some things are wildly outlandish this way, and some of them are wildly the other way, and the truth somewhere in the middle. I don't know exactly where, but somewhere. What do you guys think about gold? It just seems to me like too many people are trying to sell this. I'm like, I'm not buying any gold. What am I going to do with gold? You know, you stick it up your butt, and I don't know what I want to do with gold. Anyway, all right, guys, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and we'll catch you on the next video. Later.